My name is Jallim I'm a sculptor by profession, but an art enthusiast by heart, I will say. I've been doing art ever since I was born, straight out of the womb. Um, my father is a sculptor, a local sculptor, international sculptor as well. I was brought up in my father's studio, Univis Art Studio, which is a sort of iconic studio on the island, and with my siblings and I. And so I was brought up in this very creative environment, and that's where I blossomed, that's where I grew, that's where I created everything that I have ever created up till this point. And I do wood sculptures, I do bronze sculptures, I dabble in fabric sculpture, you know, I do painting sometimes, I'm a little bit of a painter. The whole universe of creativity is my playground, really. And so my journey really began, as I said, when I was quite young. When I was 3 years old, I realized that that's where I really discovered my talent. Um, I have a story that I always give where I saw one of my classmates in preschool do a stick figure, and I became quite envious of that stick figure. And I really wanted to improve on the stick figure, and so that was my entry into understanding anatomy, understanding the human body, and even understanding form. And form and mass and all these things are very important elements in sculpture, because you are dealing with the three dimension, you are dealing with space, you are dealing with so many important things that exist in reality. So my exploration began with the medium of wood, which is my father's medium. And most people start with realism in sculpture, and they kind of graduate to contemporary abstraction. I started with abstraction, because my father is an abstract artist. So I started with abstract sculpture, and I gradually went into figurative work. So my journey started when I was 5 years old, and then all the way to the present day. Um, at some point of my career, I wanted to detach myself from what I learned from my father, because I was experiencing this crisis of identity, this crisis of having my substantive voice. So I began gradually to develop my own sculpting style, and I started with the figurative. I started to elongate forms, to exaggerate forms, to play with the human anatomy in a way that made that made them emphatic and speak a different language. So that's me developing my own narrative, my own voice. I've traveled quite a bit as well. I've been very fortunate to have seen the world from a very young age, because I made up my mind from very early on that I wanted to be a full-fledged sculptor. I wanted this to be my career. So immediately when I left school, I took part in all the competitions at the time, like the MSc Fine Arts and so on, and that helped establish me on the local radar. That put me on the local radar, and from there I was selected several times to represent Saint Lucia overseas. Canada, Francophonie Games in Canada. I went to Martinique several times. Martinique really sustained me for a while. Between 2000 and 2005, Martinique was sort of a place that I went quite regularly. But then when I went to Africa, Niger, that's where I really found my soul. Africa was sort of a turning point for me. It was one of my most seminal moments as an artist. That's where I discovered that you could create out of anything. You could create out of cardboard, you could create out of metal, you could create out of anything. Sculpture was not just limited to wood or the traditional bronze. Sculpture is really anything that you could put together in an installative manner, or or in a reductive manner. Sculpture is a broad world. And all this sculpture, you deal with painting. What I discovered was also the amalgamation of all the disciplines of visual arts. You can combine painting with sculpture, with sound, with poetry, with a little bit of performance. So Africa really broadened my mind, And one thing Africa did was to dispel all the notions that that we cannot do, or we cannot create from the limited that we have, from the limited resources that we have, because the Africans are very good at that. And we have this parallel between Africa and Saint Lucia well, the place in Africa that I went to called Niger, where there is a sort of dearth of resources, there's a dearth of money, of finance, and they create out of very little. So when I came back from Niger, I was transformed. I think I found my voice, I found my purpose there, and so when I came back to Saint Lucia, I started to develop a different style entirely, and that evolution in my work, in the way I saw things, in my perception, in the way I conceptualize, that helped me create a bridge to the next stage of my life. After that, I got an opportunity to propose for a sculpture park in China, which is the world's largest sculpture park. That's in a place called Chongqing, China, right? And it was really something that really caught me off guard, but something that I was already prepared for, because I had been evolving, ready to grasp this opportunity. And I was supposed to compete with thousands of Chinese artists. I competed with thousands of Chinese artists and also international artists who were trying to get into this park. And a long process that I won a spot in, and I had to create in bronze. For the first time, I had to create in bronze, which I knew absolutely nothing about. So what I did, I grabbed the bulls by the horn. I told the Chinese that I could create out of bronze, which was a lie, But then I made up by buying a book on Amazon.com, and called From Clay to Bronze, and I studied the entire book on the plane. And when I landed in China, boom, I was a self-proclaimed bronze sculptor. But that went well, fortunately for me. And ever since, I have been doing sculptures in all over China, various cities, for the Chinese authorities, for private enterprise in China. So that has been a very good thing for me, for my career. I've also done work for the royal family. I did a royal present for Prince Williams and Duchess Kate in 2012. I've done exhibitions in England, in Miami, in New York, just about all corners of the world. So I would say that my career has been very fulfilling. My life as an artist has been very fulfilling, and I've seen the world. I've grown tremendously.
So this here is the workshop, and in here the artists do wood carvings and wood sculptures. These are two of our best artists, Roger and Jallim. Hello. The artists use various local woods to work with, such as teak, mahogany, red and white cedar, Loye Canel, and Loye Maple wood. We have this piece here. It's the root of the Loye Canel tree. The trees are extinct on the island because they were used up a long time ago to build houses, furniture, and boats. And the trees were never replanted. But we get the roots to work with from farmers who are clearing their land, or we turn the roots into abstract pieces.
This is the root of the Loye Canal. In Latin it's called Elongatum vitae. I think that translates to mean long-living species. And this tree was cut down in the colonial times, and it was really over-harvested, and it's either very rare now or extinct. I've never seen a tree, but we get the roots and the stems of this tree. Reach little the forest now, and so on. So we collect them and we create our abstract pieces with them. And this is a very hard wood. I would say it's the most durable, most dense wood that we have at the studio, and most dense wood that I've certainly ever worked. But we also work with mahogany, with glory cedar, red and white cedar, and so on. And besides the medium of bronze that I just explained to you a while ago, I've also worked in fabric. You know, I did an installation in Castries some time ago. I don't know, on Castries Roundabout. I don't know if you could remember that. There was some sales that was up that was made from fabric. So I'm looking forward to creating more pieces like that. You know, and dabbling into other materials, mixed media. You know, galvanized. Driftwood, like, you know, different things. So I'm continuously exploring and looking at other materials to express myself in. You know, so but one of the mediums that I'm really looking forward to is stainless steel. I'm really looking forward to doing some pieces in stainless steel. I'm looking forward to working in clay as well. You know, so it's a really exciting journey for me. You know, in exploration and discovery of these beautiful mediums that we have available to us. My public art, you could find them in parks around China. There's the first city I created for is called Chongchun, so you could find them. You could find about at least 3 of my sculptures in the Chongchun International Sculpture Park. You know, I've also created for another city called Zhengzhou. So you could find that sculpture in the Zhengzhou Sculpture Park. I've created for another city in China called Fuzhou. You know, so it's a lot of jewels in there. So you could find that sculpture in the International Sculpture Park of Fuzhou. I'm just about to create a sculpture, as I said, for St. Lucia, the Independence Monument. So soon you'll be able to find my work down here, right in the center of Castries as well. My gallery work, you could find, well, right now there's an exhibition called Afro Future, which is in the Miami Design District. It will be going on up until March the 7th. Not that I want to date this interview, but you know, March the 7th will be 2019. Will be the due date of the exhibition. So it's going on now. It's a very exciting exhibition which features the top up and coming young black artists in America. And luckily I was made part of that, you know. So that is happening right now. Soon I'll have another exhibition in London. I'm looking to have an exhibition or having my work displayed at a gallery called Zari Gallery. I've had exhibitions in New York, in the Art Quarter of New York, Chelsea, and so on. But nothing planned for now, but hopefully in the near future. So I mean, you could follow me on Facebook. You could contact me on jallimmidovik@gmail.com. You could contact me via Facebook, via my personal number, you know, 2868443. You could come right here to the studio. We only a stone throw away from the city. We in Castries at Goodlands, Ludovic Art Studio Goodlands, you know, the Mon. I have my own area in the studio that you could find me as well. You could, you know, and I'm very easy to find once you're in St. Lucia. If you're not in St. Lucia, as I said, you could utilize social media devices and so on to find me. I'm working on an exhibition right now in Atlanta, for Atlanta. End of the year, I'm looking forward to, I'm doing a collective, with a group exhibition with 2 other prominent local artists. We kind of looking at the emancipation bits, you know. So that is on stream. I really want to do more sculptures, not just in China, but the rest of the world. So I'm now looking at various opportunities through my agents, and so on. So I'm looking at possibility of this stuff in the U.S., in England, in Europe, and I'm even conceptualizing things for Africa now. I mean, why not? Africa is very big on public arts. Africa has a art movement that is incredible. Particularly places like Nigeria, Ghana, so on. So I want to be part of that conversation, that global conversation. Wherever art is happening, wherever there is an energetic movement of art, I would like to. I want to be connected to that. Because I see myself as a global person. So I would advise any young person to read, keep themselves in the know. Always know what's going on, not only internationally but internationally, because we are a part of a much broader world, and try to connect to that world as much as possible. And fortunately, we have the social media devices that we could use now to easily connect. So utilize these instruments, utilize these tools to strengthen who you are as an artist. Do a little business course, because you also need to know how to manage money. That is the downfall of a lot of young artists. They don't know how to manage money, how to merchandise, how to make money, how to pursue a viable career. Apart from that, learn the language. In the art world, there are many levels. There's a low level, where you could make things to pay the bills and so on. There's a medium level, which is you could exhibit at a gallery. You could do commissions and so on. And there's the highest level, of superstardom and fame and all of that. Each of those levels require different knowledge sets and skill sets and so on. So figure out where you want to be placed in the industry, and do your research and go for it. You have to be disciplined. You have to be tenacious. You have to stick to your craft. Practice, and you have to learn the art of eloquence as well, because you have to learn to stand by your work intellectually and defend whatever you have created. And also, do not be afraid to dream big. Do not be afraid to be epic. Do not be afraid to think beyond our shores. We are an international people, and we could be part of the global conversation. But we have to think on that level. So I would encourage young people, as I said, to connect to the broader world. Take a trip, go to New York. Go to the art fairs around the world. Go to Miami, Art Basel. Make a sacrifice in your personal development and connect. You never know who you're gonna meet in those places who could advance your career. Think outside the box. Take risk. Growth comes with a great level of discomfort. So you cannot be comfortable and being growing and try to grow at the same time. It is impossible. So challenge yourself. Create new things. Don't be afraid. Even though someone tells you it's not good, but you already created out of a philosophical, introspective side of things, viewpoints. So it's like Derek Walcott and Safa Lewis. These people contributed globally. So we have it in us. It's no accident that they were great. They were musicians just like me and you, but they dreamt big, and they did not shy away from grandeur. And it's a word that we trying to make. Like in our society now, we try to shut down people for being too for thinking big and for being too epic and so on. Because I think that we are intimidated by growth somewhat. You know, and there's a poem that I quite like from Marianne Williamson. It's called Our Greatest Fear. You know, and it says that our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We are powerful beyond measure. You know, so we have to tap into our source, our core energy, and create from that. So that comes from our spirituality. So I mean, it's it's a lot to become an artist. There's a lot beyond the veneer of it all, beyond the surface. You know, it's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of everything that you have to do.